Here we go.
So if you are here and you're a little bit early, we'd love to hear from you in the chat. Where are you? How did you hear about CS Ed Week? And would you like to share an exciting fact about computers and take a guess at what an algorithm is? You're welcome to introduce yourself or just tell us exciting things about computers as we wait to get started. Oh, it paused. Okay, good to know.
So we have one person from Richmond, which actually makes 4 of us from Richmond. Our panelists and myself are here in Richmond.
Maggie, would you be okay with posting those screen shares into the chat so that I can unscreen share for a few minutes? There we go. If that's possible.
That's what I'm wondering.
I figured it out.
Okay.
I do not need to do that. I'm trying to make Thomas a host as well.
So from my vantage point, it says that you and Thomas are, or you are host and Thomas is co-host, and I am a panelist.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wrapped up all the poll questions, so those will be good to go. I've got all the ingredients ready for our first activity.
Hello, Jessica. Thank you for joining us this morning. Okay, so I am Maggie Smith. I'm the Director of Children's Programming at CodeVA. And Thomas and Natasha are wonderful instructors for today. Thomas is our lead instructor at CodeVA's Eureka workshop, and Natasha is our community organizer at Eureka workshop.
Yeah, looking forward to this activity session today.
Now it's your turn. Who are you? Introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
Tell us an exciting fact about computers in the chat. And if you are trying to open the chat, if you haven't already been using Zoom, if you put your mouse towards the bottom of the screen and you kind of wiggle it around, there should be a little icon that says chat underneath it, and you can click on that and then type into the box. And make sure that the 2 is sending it to panelists and attendees so that everybody else is able to see your answer as well. Thomas, is it okay if I switch that PowerPoint over to you since I'm using our
Yeah,
older version?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I
definitely.
will unshare. Or actually, I think you can just take the screen share once you're set up.
Okay.
Sweet. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Natalie, it looks like you're using Zoom okay right now. So for today's webinar, you'll be able to communicate with us through the chat, which you have done, which I think is pretty fantastic. And basically today you're just going to sit back and enjoy learning about the things that Natasha and Thomas are going to be talking about. And Natasha and Thomas will ask some questions and you can reply in the chat like you've already done. And Tay, what webinar are you looking for if you think this is the wrong one? We're a little bit early. Awesome. It looks like we have a wide variety of folks here. Olivia, I don't know a whole ton about computers either. So you and I are in the same boat. And Diego, looks like you code every day. That's super exciting.
Nice. A wide variety here.
Oh, cool. So Diego uses Scratch to code.
Nice.
Natalie, we cannot see attendees. Only the panelists have video access in this particular webinar. Hello, Alex. And Zia. So welcome to everyone who's just joined. We just have a few more minutes before we'll get going.
Natalie, you might have an internet connection that's struggling a little bit with keeping up. If you have any other tabs or windows open on your computer, try closing those so that you're just using Zoom. And if you're still having trouble after that, I'm going to post the number to the help desk. You can give them a call or you can email them and they can help you troubleshoot.
And Thomas and Natasha, just so you know, the only privileges that I currently have are video and microphone. Hi, Alex. So today, the way we have the webinar set up, you're able to use the chat, but only our panelists are able to use the microphone.
Hey everyone, if you're just getting here, take a look at the slide that we have up, and if you want to use that as an opportunity to introduce yourself, you can tell us where in Virginia you are. You can tell us how you're participating in CS Education Week or how you heard about it. Share an exciting fact about computers, or maybe take a guess at what an algorithm is. And we'll get started in about 4 minutes. Wow, I'm seeing lots of different parts of Virginia.
Yeah, I see people from Palmyra and Troy, Monticello, or Lake Monticello. That's awesome.
Floyd too. And definitely
Nice.
at least one other person in Richmond. Very exciting. Ah. Thomas, are you able to give Maggie back co-host? I think I made you the actual host.
Yep, she's co-host again.
Awesome.
All right, I can again not mind my own business. Thank you, Thomas.
All good. Let me know if that happens again. Just during it if I need to access or give you access again.
I think we have a couple of people that are very excited about Troy, Virginia. Good to see you guys represent.
Yeah.
Esmont, cool. And Winchester.
Cool.
I think that's most of the state, huh? Any Norfolk, Suffolk, beachy folks? Awesome. I got Norfolk too.
Cool.
So because of the size of this session, Thomas and Maggie and I are going to be the only three that have video and audio. But I'm really excited to see this much chat going on. So please keep it going as we get started, because it's nice to see some feedback, even though we can't see your faces. And if you haven't figured out how to chat yet, you can take your mouse and kind of wiggle it around the bottom of the screen. And there is an icon right in the middle that says chat. When you click on that, it'll open a box. Make sure that you're sending your chat to all panelists and attendees so that we can all see it.
Also, we have two super awesome volunteer moderators in our chat today. We have, and they have introduced themselves. So we have Jessica and Ingrid. And thank you all for being here. And please, if you are in the chat, keep your eyeballs out for Jessica and Ingrid and any extra information they may have.
Yes, feel free to ask questions as well. And we're going to have some time towards the end of this to check in with you all with questions related to the presentation after we get started. What is this coding club? This is Computer Science Education Week, which is a week that happens every year all across the United States. And we, within Code Virginia, are doing kind of Virginia, like all of Virginia's related coding activities.
We'll be focusing primarily with algorithms today for our activities, and it'll be a central theme throughout the next hour or so.
I think that's maybe a good second to get started, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Awesome. All right, I'm going to continue on with the screen share and go ahead and make some introductions. So good morning, everybody. My name is Thomas. I work with CodeVA and the Eureka workshops as the lead instructor and do children's programming throughout the year. And I'm very excited to be here today for Shake It, Program It for CS Education Week.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha. I am Eureka Workshops community organizer. And I'm also very excited to be here, especially because I love bees and I love shaking and dancing, and we're gonna get to share that with all of you. Everybody ready to get started? Oh, one more note. I see a lot of people asking how to unmute and how to share video. Just because there's so many people, us three are the only three that are gonna be on video, but please talk to us in the chat. We still wanna hear from you. We're still super excited to be doing this live. And we're going to have some time at the end to answer questions.
Great. Thanks, Natasha. So, like I mentioned earlier, today's focus and theme will be algorithms in computer science. And we'll be able to explore lots of different ways that algorithms occur when we're using technology, when we're coding, and in our lives. So today we're going to learn all about algorithms. We use them every day, and we don't even really need to think about it. They're happening all around us. So we're going to start with an activity that asks ourselves, why are algorithms important? So just follow along and see if you can figure out what an algorithm is after this activity. So we're going to jump ahead, and I know it's the morning, but we're going to go ahead and make an algorithm cookie, or actually a big batch of cookies. So here in front of me, I've got all the ingredients I need to make a good batch of chocolate chip cookies.
All right, so since we're starting this activity, let's slow down the chat so that I'm able to see people's responses. That means that if you are spamming letters, I'm asking you to stop. And as we're starting this activity, we need your help to help Thomas put these cookies together. Thank you guys so much. You stopped really quickly. So we have this cookie recipe, but we're missing most of the directions. All we have are the ingredients. So what we need to do is help Thomas sort of figure out the best way to turn all of these kitchen ingredients into a delicious batch of cookies. And we're going to be figuring that out together. And we're going to give you a bit of a hint to get started. The very, very first step in this cookie recipe is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. So Thomas is going to start working on that. And I'm going to say one more time, please stop spamming the chat. I'm going to have to ask our moderators to meet you guys during this presentation. Thank you guys. So when Thomas comes back, let's take a look at these ingredients. And are there any guesses as to the very first thing that we need to do? What's the first thing that we need to do in order to kind of get these cookies going after the oven is preheated?
All right. Yes, we are baking. And looks like someone said, mix the dry ingredients.
Thomas, are you able to unpin the PowerPoint, please?
Oh yeah, just halt the screen share, or I can spotlight my video too.
I
that
think
work?
that only does it on your screen. You should be able to just undo the picture. So I saw people saying we need to mix all of the dry ingredients and we need to mix all of the wet ingredients. So should we just go ahead and put all of those together?
Yeah, like, well, I've got flour and I've got oil as some of the wet ingredients, so I just pour it right in, right? Just kind of maybe put the flour right in the oil.
Ooh, I don't know. Some people saying are like, maybe that's not the right way to do it. Is there a way to be more specific with the directions that we're using so that Thomas has a better idea of how to do things? Pour the flour. Okay, pour the flour into a bowl.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a good mixing bowl here. I think this will be good. Okay, so the flour first.
Okay. Oh, and Breeden is saying to put all of the ingredients in the bowl. So maybe that's the way to do it.
All of them? Okay, so, well, I know for a fact I have a half a teaspoon of baking powder, baking soda, sorry. And I have these eggs too, so they go right in.
Okay, yeah.
I've got chocolate chips. Been eyeing these. It's hard to not snack on some chocolate chips. Oh, I see. Oh, wait, stop. Did I do something wrong?
Well, now they're saying to crack the eggs. So I think that we have to do some things before we mix the ingredients together.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll take them out.
Do we need to put the peels with the dry ingredients and the wet part of the eggs with the wet ingredients? Is that what you guys think?
Crack the eggs.
Don't put the shells in. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so, all right. Do I do that step now, or do I continue to add some of the dry ingredients? What's everyone think?
Okay, so some people are saying to add the eggs last and to do all of the dry ingredients in the bowl first.
All right, cool. Well, I know I have granulated sugar here. I'll add that in. And I've got some brown sugar here. That's dry as well.
It is a lot of sugar. That's what makes cookies so good.
Yeah. Okay. And
Luke says to hit the eggs on the side of the bowl and throw the eggshell away. That's a really good direction. I think we can store that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can do that. So I have kind of an empty bowl here. I can store the eggshells in. So go ahead.
And I'm also seeing people to maybe start mixing the dry ingredients together. Is that what you guys think? Okay, that sounds great. So this recipe doesn't actually have milk in it, but it does have oil.
Yeah, the only wet ingredients I have are some oil and vanilla extract, as well as the egg yolks. So I've now cracked both eggs. I'll keep the shells to the side. Now what?
You just want to mix it up with your hands, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I guess like start
stirring it up. I think it's going to take a really long time. What do you guys think? With a spoon?
Is a spoon or a whisk? Yeah. Okay. Well, I have kind of a combination here. I got a spatula I could use.
There we go. I'm seeing some people saying yes now, so I think you're on the right track.
Okay. Cool. I wish I had a mixer. I just got to use my hands here for this. Okay, so it looks like the eggs are incorporating a little bit, but they're getting a little, how do you say, chunky in there. I think it needs more wet.
I think Eli is saying add the oil.
Okay. Is this like an all at once situation, or?
Some people are saying yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see somebody saying a little at a time.
Oh.
Well,
Oops.
that's okay. Let's see how it turns out.
Yeah. Okay. We have one last wet ingredient, and that's the vanilla extract. So, either does that go in?
Time, because I have seen our moderator asking people to stop spamming the chat. If you're just typing a bunch of the same letters or you're not really contributing to the activity, try to not do that because there's so many people in here that it's hard to follow along when it's moving that quickly.
On that note, I just sent a couple messages to students and panelists, and I'll start removing folks shortly.
Thank you, guys. So what do we have left?
I've got the vanilla extract and the chocolate chips. I've already put in all the dry ingredients, including the baking soda. And yeah, these are the last two things. So is there a specific order? Does one go before the other?
Fatima's saying add the vanilla extract first.
Okay.
Anybody else? Reagan's also saying the vanilla, and Emmy. Awesome. Cool. That's a good point, Riley. Generally, you do mix all of the dry ingredients first and then all of the wet ingredients afterwards. We kind of broke away from that this time, so we're going to have to see if it turns out. We don't know.
Yeah. All right, so there's my vanilla. Keep mixing that in a little bit.
It is pretty clumpy, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder what you guys think happened. And Luke says, now stir the chocolate chip slowly as you stir.
All right. Do a little bit at a time.
Do you think that this is a pretty good batter? I'm seeing some people say that it has maybe too much flour or needs to be a little bit more sticky. So the recipe doesn't have milk in it, so you shouldn't have to add milk. It looks really thick, yeah. It should be less dry, but we can't add milk because that's not in the recipe. So what else could we do? We could add a little bit of water.
Yeah, I do have a little water on hand.
Or oil, yeah.
Got
I'm
oil
also
too.
seeing a couple of people, Thomas, that are recommending that at this point, maybe you can use your hands to mix it. That might be easier.
All right, yeah. Don't worry, I made sure to wash my hands before. Some people are saying more wet ingredients. Add more chocolate chips. Okay, I don't see as much powder now.
Awesome. Oh, and Scarlett's getting ahead of us, saying, get a pan, roll the dough into balls, and put it on the pan.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that we're ready to do that? Are things mixing in, or do we still need to kind of keep things going?
It's still pretty clumpy. Maybe a little more oil would help.
Yeah, let's do it. People are still saying, let's make it a little bit less dry.
A little more oil in there. Okay, all right. Starting to look a little more like dough, especially when I ball it up.
Yeah, that looks great.
So, all right, I think we're ready to move on to the next step. If I'm correct, I think someone said to grab a baking sheet, which I do have right here. Find out.
Awesome. So we have our baking sheet, and we're going to be making like little balls with our hands and putting them on the sheet.
Okay. Alrighty. So.
All right. Once again, guys, please stop spamming the chat. I'm able to see your messages even if you don't make them 20 lines long. But the more that you send, the harder it is to read.
All right. So you said small balls, right? Are we talking about that? Looks good. Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you, Cameron. And we don't want the cookies to get lonely, right? So we should keep them really close together so that we can fit them all in that one pan.
Yeah, it's a lot of dough, so that makes sense. Kind of like buddy buddy.
Yeah, that looks good. What's our chat think?
Oh, I see a lot of people saying too close and no.
Not so much?
Oh, okay.
Well, should we put them just one or two, maybe per pan then, just to be safe?
Like that.
That's definitely a safe distance.
I've seen a couple comments where students are asking why we're doing this because it's not coding.
That's a really good point. Maybe that's something that we should keep in mind as we're doing this activity so that we can talk about that once our cookies are in the oven, huh?
I think that sounds like an awesome idea.
Okay, I think probably the amount of space this pan would allow is about 3 cookies per row. So I'm gonna stick to that. Kind of keep them balled up. See, this is about golf ball size, I'd say. Right? Seems good.
Well, it's going to take a really long time to make this whole batch of cookies.
Yeah.
You guys like this distance? Oh, I'm seeing a couple people say closer.
Okay.
Do you think we can do them closer, or is that going to be weird in the oven? People seem really intense about not wanting to get it too fast or too close.
Gonna butt my nose in again. I just saw another comment that I thought was pretty cool in response to the questions about this isn't coding. One student says we're coding, just not coding computers. And that's something that I think maybe we should think about until we put the cookies in the oven.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. So what are we coding if we're not coding a computer? And what kind of code are we creating? I think that my chat is lagging because we have a very excitable group. So if I'm a little bit behind, that's why.
Okay, I think this is the last one I can fit right here. Now, those are all pretty evenly spaced out. Now the oven's definitely done preheating at this point. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick, and then I think it'll be good to go in.
Awesome. So as Thomas is washing his hands, we have a hot debate going on about whether this is coding and what kind of coding it might be. So what exactly are we doing? We're making cookies. We're in the kitchen. How is this related to anything computer science? Is the oven a computer? What are we coding the oven to do if the oven is the computer in this situation? That's also a really good question. What is coding exactly? Maybe that's a good place to start. I see someone typing some binary in the chat, which is an example of code. But we're not using binary, right? Mm-mm.
I see a couple people in the chat who are asking about algorithms.
That is also a very good point. That is the point of our seminar today. And we are using this activity to make you start thinking about algorithms. In about 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to be asking how this relates to algorithms specifically. So this is a good time to start thinking about maybe what you think an algorithm is and how that relates to code, and then why we would be doing this in the kitchen with Thomas making cookies.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm about to pop these in the oven. Got my timer set. We're at 10 minutes.
Cooking is like coding. That's a good point too. We are making the oven do what we want to do. Also true.
Save the rest of this batter for later in my fridge.
So let's open that presentation again, and let's talk about what we just did.
Yeah.
The oven is electrical. That's a good point as well.
So yeah, we had lots of guesses. Let's talk a little bit about what happened here. So we were just doing an algorithm, and the way it translated into cooking wasn't so much the actual technology of the oven that we were using. It was the step-by-step process of giving me instructions to solve the problem of baking the cookies. You know, here my problem was I have a lot of ingredients in front of me and I want to make cookies, but I don't know how. So you all helped in that process by giving me the instructions to do so. Essentially, we needed to give the directions that made sense to me so that the cookies were made correctly. And I think there was a learning curve during that process because I have very little experience making cookies. So that's kind of how the trials of baking go in the kitchen. I feel like that applies to computer science and coding just the same. So we talked a little bit, I believe, about what are some ways to give good directions or instructions, but maybe some folks can answer that in the chat. What about giving direct directions is important, or what makes directions good? And please only reply in the chat because we do not have the capability to input participants.
So if we can refocus on what Thomas is saying, I see a lot of chat going on that's not related. Nobody is cussing because there is a chat filter that does not allow people to cuss. And I would ask if you guys could turn your attention back to what we're talking about and try to answer what are some ways to give good directions so that we can move forward. We already kind of talked about the idea of things happening step by step. And I think that was really important when we were making cookies, right? What are some other ways to make sure that Thomas knew exactly what we were trying to say?
So to give good details, I've done this along the lines of being specific in the details. So that's definitely very important. I think we could have ended up with eggshells in our cookies had we not been specific there.
Saying how much we need. That's true. So we gave this a little bit of an easier go because Thomas had pre-measured all of the things that we were using. But the actual recipe that we were using, you had to kind of measure what everything meant. If I gave you a recipe that said, oh, just grab a handful of flour and, like, see however much baking soda you want to do, I don't know if this would turn out looking like cookies.
So someone's putting it into words you could understand. So kind of simplifying things down a little bit definitely helped me.
Yeah.
Putting everything down to the wet and the dry ingredients helped me understand the order. So,
or even using the right language, right? I saw somebody throwing binary in the chat earlier, and even if we all did speak binary, that would be really confusing to make a recipe. That's not the right coding language for this job.
Cool. I think those are some good ways to give good instructions and good tips. Well, we'll touch upon that a little bit later, but I think as these cookies are baking, we can move on to our next activity. So that is the waggle dance. And the waggle dance is a way that bees communicate with one another and the ways that algorithms are used in nature as well. So they're not just here limited to our kitchen or on our computers, they're happening all around us. So let's take a moment to learn a little bit about these.
I study all different kinds of social bees because you really need to look at social bees to study their communication. I look at honeybees, bumblebees, and stingless bees. Honeybees have this amazing ability to communicate, and it's one of the reasons why I became a biologist, because I discovered as an undergraduate that they could communicate using a waggle dance.
Inside Science.
So a bee that dances inside the nest, let's say she goes out to find a good food source. She'll find that flower, and if it's rewarding enough, she'll come back and she'll do this dance that almost looks like a figure eight of a bee dancing back and forth and then waggling her butt, if you will, her abdomen. And that waggling is key because the angle at which she's waggling and the duration of time she spends doing it actually tells bees where to go to find food. They can tell each other where to go, how far away to fly, and what distance to go to actually find the food source. Basically, the longer she spends shaking or waggling, the further away the food source is. So another...
Cool. All right. So let's recap a little bit in that video. Oh, wow, we have someone whose dad is a beekeeper. That's so awesome. I wonder if he knows about this and how bees communicate. So just to recap a little bit about what that video just shared. So bees dance to actually share directions with each other on how to navigate, travel around. So unlike us, who may rely on GPS navigation, or back before that, we would print out directions and try to navigate our way around that way, but we don't actually have bees don't have the satellite technology to be able to figure out the lay of the land or get around in different ways. So this is how bees do communicate with each other on traveling and getting from place to place. So as the man in the video explained, the angle of the bees' dance and how they waggle their abdomens are based on the angle of the sun. So depending on that, the actual ways that they're moving their bodies it determines the angle in which the direction is going. And then from there, the actual number of times that they waggle their bodies describes how far away that the bees need to travel to go to. So from that, they get the direction, that could be north, south, east, or west, and then the actual number of miles or distance that it would take for the bees to travel. And yes, bees are a very important animal in our ecosystems. They pollinate flowers and help wildlife grow all around. So they're very crucial. And they like sugar water as well. Awesome. So we as humans, we share information using algorithms too, just like how we were doing the recipe baking. And so we can also write directions to help other humans navigate, just like bees. It's like, hey, someone comes asking you for directions, and you let them know, oh, it's like just X number of blocks down, and then to your left if they're looking for a specific place or destination. So in this activity, we're hypothetically opening a new restaurant, and we need all of your help to create a dessert to make this restaurant a success. Later on, after the next activity, we'll get to actually drawing what your dream dessert looks like using algorithms too. But first, we gotta head to our restaurant.
So we are going to be giving directions to our customers using a type of code that is inspired by the waggle dance. I have a couple people talking about, oh, how does this relate to coding and how does this relate to algorithms? So let's talk about that for a little bit. When bees are giving directions, they're doing it using an algorithm. They have to do it step by step in a way that the other bees are able to understand what they're trying to communicate. Just like when we were breaking down the recipe for Thomas, we had to do it in the right language, in the right order, in a way where he was able to sort of understand and follow along. If you were to try and tell a bee how to make a batch of cookies, they would be really confused because they don't use tablespoons or work with ovens. But if you want to waggle in a circle and angle yourself away from the sun, they've got you. They know exactly what you're trying to say, and they're on top of that pollen so they can bring it back to their hive. And so in that way, they've created their own coding language to be able to share information and communicate really, really well with other bees. So we want to do something that's inspired by those bees. And we're creating a coding language that is based on the waggle dance in order to help Armand, who is our very, very first customer, find our restaurant. And there's only going to be 2 different pieces of code for this algorithm. There's going to be a spinning motion where we tell Armand to sort of spin in a circle, sort of like when you're looking for a piñata. And you're going to be helping Armand spin in a circle until he is facing the right direction. And then once he's facing the restaurant, the other half of our code is the command to tell him to walk forward. And you're going to keep telling him to walk forward until he's able to see the restaurant in front of him and stop walking. So I'm going to do those gestures one more time so that you can do them with me.
I can do them too. Here, so.
Awesome. We have our spinning motion to tell Armand to keep spinning in a circle and make sure that he's facing the right direction. And then once he's facing the right direction, we're going to tell him, go forward, go forward, go forward, until he's right in front of that restaurant. So we're going to do that a couple of times and help Armand make sure that our opening day is a success.
All right, we can continue. So let's help Armand get some lunch.
All right. So first, let's make sure that we're going to help him spin in a circle. So everybody's able to sort of follow along with me. And now that he's there, we're going to walk him forward. Awesome
Nice.
job. So he's found his first restaurant.
Awesome. All right, round 2. Let's go. So we got to start spinning now.
Help him spin.
Spinning all the way. And then.
And now he's facing the right direction. And we're going to help him go. Right until he touches the restaurant. Awesome.
Nice.
So these were pretty easy. And I think that the next one is a little bit more complicated. So let's take a look at this. So here, Armand isn't able to use his jetpack to go through the trees. That would be really dangerous. And he's not that hungry. He's already had 2 lunches. So what we're going to do this time is we need to have him follow the path. And so when we spin him, rather than telling him, you're going to go in a straight path towards the restaurant, We're going to spin him until he goes a little bit below the restaurant in the middle there. And then we're going to have him change directions and start moving again. So it's getting a little bit more complicated. So let's have him start spinning until he's able to get to the right direction to avoid those trees. And then he's going to move forwards. We'll have him stop there because he's going to have to move again in another direction.
Yep.
Now, let's have him spin again. And now he's facing the restaurant, so we can have him move forward. And there he goes.
Sweet.
Lunch
Sweet,
number
we got
3.
Is there another lunch in our set? Yes. Look at that. All
4
right.
lunches today.
4th
All right.
lunch.
So again, it's a little bit longer this time. We're going to have him move towards the bottom of the screen to avoid those trees. So let's go ahead and have him start spinning. Awesome. And then he's going to head in that direction. And we're going to have him spin again, right? Because he's still not at the restaurant. And now he's facing the right direction. And then one more. There we go. Awesome job, guys. So we have given Armand a very healthy lunch break. He's going to tell all of his friends about the grand opening of our restaurant. And we were able to come up with a really, really simple algorithm to share the location of this restaurant with everybody that sort of needs to learn how to navigate there. And this is something that you should be able to do with your friends offline as well, right? You can come up with a movement or a sound to tell them to spin in a circle and how to walk forwards. So think about that the next time that you maybe want to find a way to communicate something in fewer words.
Yeah. Wonderful. So there are many ways you could also do this activity on your own. So we're going to move now to a bit of a wrap-up discussion to talk about what we've learned so far. So I know, oh, wow, great timing. Look at that. The timer just went off on the cookies. Do y'all want to see?
Let's take a look at the cookies. While Thomas is doing that, I had a couple people that are saying my name or saying Thomas's name in the chat. When you split your message up, it's harder to see because it's moving quickly. So if you have a question, are you able to type all of it at once before you hit enter, please? How are the cookies looking? Ooh, they're so
pretty
fluffy.
good. Yeah, they're fluffy. They're still kind of small, like the balls. They didn't get too wide. They didn't really bleed into or touch each other. So I think we spaced them out just great. I might put them in a little bit more, but overall, I think it came out pretty good.
Awesome job, guys. We made some cookies. So we're going to let them crisp up a little bit and finish up our pop quiz.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to work on getting the poll out to everybody. So I have a way of voting here. So we'll actually be able to see the percentages of people. So feel free to vote, and I'll just go through and run through the different questions that we have. So the first question is, what are algorithms? Are they A, a group of bees flying, B, a set of instructions to solve a problem, C, communicating clearly, or D, coding a computer to bake a cake? So algorithms, we talked a little bit in the beginning about what exactly they are. Let me go ahead and move on to algorithms and the kind of processes that they use. What kind of processes do algorithms use? Is it a step-by-step process? Is it a go with the flow process? Is it a backwards and reverse process? Or is it an up and down and side to side process? So I see a lot of answers in the chat. Why don't we just focus on voting in the poll instead, everybody? That way we can all kind of wrap up after the fact. if everyone votes in the chat, your answers are just going to get buried. There's no way to actually really keep track of chat answers. So just focus on the poll right now. We've got 2 more questions. So where can algorithms be found or used? Is the answer A, only on computers? Is the answer B, with the help of an adult? Or is it C, algorithms are all around us? Why don't everybody take a chance to vote in the poll? And for our last question, what is important when creating instructions? Is it being specific, having the correct order, making sure that they're step-by-step, or D, all of the above? So I'll go ahead and give probably about 20 more seconds for the poll, and then go ahead and go back. So. Nice, we have about 75 people voting in so far, so that's cool. All right. It looks like the votes are kind of slowing down, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now and share the results. So let's check it out. First, what are algorithms? So the answer here is B, a set of instructions to solve a problem. We went through this many times in algorithms, like for an example, a recipe, or the commands that bees give one another when doing a waggle dance. They're all instructions, and they're all to solve a problem. So that's very true for algorithms in computer science too. Now, what kind of process do algorithms use? And the overwhelming majority voted A, step-by-step, and that's correct. Algorithms do follow a step-by-step process. So as nice as it would be if algorithms just went with the flow of whatever code or ingredients we were adding to our cookies, it doesn't quite work that way. They have to be step-by-step so that the person, the bee, the computer, or whatever understands to go step-by-step and that there's a procedure to it. Next, third question is, where can algorithms be found or used? And again, we had the majority vote all around us. It's very true. Algorithms aren't limited to just computers and computer science. And you don't really just need to have an adult because they can happen all around us in our lives. So that is our answer, C. Algorithms are all around us. And last but not least, what is important when creating instructions? So we had almost 50% of people vote all of the above. That is correct because all of these parts are very important when creating instructions and algorithms. We need to make sure that the instructions are specific, that they are given in the correct order, and they are also delivered in a step-by-step way so that the people or computers or whatever have you can follow it in order. So overall, thank you for participating in our wrap-up poll. And we'll kind of jump off to a final activity before we take questions at the end. And we're going to go back to our dream dessert that Armand was desperately trying to find after his many lunches at our restaurant. So now it is time to make our ideal dessert. So think of your favorite dessert item that you would like to add to this menu that we're creating. So on a piece of paper and with some drawing utensils, draw out a dessert and label each part of that dessert. So if you're joining us from a classroom, you all can work on this together as well. And while you're working, think about what order things would go when you're making this. So I'm gonna show an example that I came up with, which was my own dream dessert cake. So what this cake looks like is a 7-layer cake with many different parts. So I'm gonna outline the different parts and what order that they would be made in. So for this, I'm not necessarily sharing the recipe on how to make each portion of the cake, just how the cake is assembled. So you can do this too for ice cream sundae, maybe a dream pie, or other kind of dessert that you can dream of. So for this one, the first layer in the first part, the first step, the foundation, is the Black Forest cake. It's a chocolate cake with cherries, one of my favorites. So I had that as the bottom. Then on top of that, there's a layer of chocolate frosting. Above that, there's a layer of vanilla ice cream, make it kind of cool. And then on top of that, there's a very dark chocolate, almost like a ganache layer over the ice cream. Then on top of that, there's the buttercream icing layer with a marbled chocolate yellow cake on top. So I know my mouth is already watering. I don't know about you all, but on the very top of all this is a layer, very big fat layer of whipped topping, all on top. So it kind of almost drizzles down as well. So that is how I would make my dream cake. I know it's probably overkill, but we're trying to get customers in the door, and this definitely would get people's attention. So no limits here on your dream cake. It could be even another type of maybe food, like a taco, like a dessert taco or a dessert sandwich, maybe even. Like the possibilities are endless. So now's the chance to kind of go on and draw your own activity, this own version that you would create to create a dessert algorithm in the process. So as important as it is to get the drawing down, also do your best to outline the steps and how it would be made. And with that, if we have any further questions, I think we can take some in the next couple minutes for the chat, but we can use maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes of the webinar to do this drawing activity as well. Does anybody have any questions in the chat?
So again, now that we're asking for questions, if people that are spamming the chat can stop that so that we're able to see the questions, I'd really appreciate that.
What if you don't have a dream dessert? So if you say don't have a dream dessert, then we're not going to limit you just to doing a dessert. If you have another type of food that you would like to do, I think that would be totally fine for this activity. Yeah, we can leave the dessert up for now as an example piece. It's still up there for anyone that would like to see.
I did just see a question asking if this is recorded. Yes, it is recorded, as is the chat.
Mm-hmm. Cool, so the cookies are still now that they've had a little chance to rest, I think they're looking great. Nice and crisp, just like a cookie should be.
Hey, Thomas, someone was wondering if maybe you could move the screen share so they could get a better look at the cookies.
Oh yeah, sure thing. All right, so let's move this over.
So we still have I still have the slideshow up full.
There we go. Cookies.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for figuring out algorithms with us. And it was exciting to get to meet some actual beekeeper families that live in Virginia. That's very inspiring for me to maybe one day also own bees. And I hope that you learned a little bit about algorithms and about ways to code without even necessarily talking to a computer, right? Like we found some really creative ways to dig into computer science this morning.
Yeah, thank you all. Wonderful job. I think if we don't have any further questions, then we can just about wrap up. Have a great time coming up and dreaming up your own dream dessert, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Yep, so we're wrapping up now. And thank you for joining us, and have a good rest of your day. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun, but I'm thinking you might have something more exciting to move on to. Maybe not more exciting, but equally as exciting.
Yeah.
So there should be a little red button that says leave on the bottom right hand of your screen. And you can click that to leave the Zoom.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
So yeah, exit works too. Very awesome, cool girl. I sent you lots of messages, and I have your registered email, and I have sent an email there as well. You're welcome. If you would like access to this video, your teacher can request it from us. Or if you are a teacher, you can request it from us. You can shoot me an email it's Maggie Smith at codevirginia.org, and I can put that in the chat.
I also have a request for the video that I got from a question, so I'll send that to you.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, Chloe, we aren't actually able to unmute people or put their videos on because it's a webinar. I hope that you do make cookies. Follow the recipe.
Yeah.
This meeting is over, so you guys should be able to click the leave button at the bottom or click the X on the top right corner of Zoom to close out completely. I hope that there's some other exciting computer science education week activities happening for you. Thank you, Emmy. Oh, thanks, Deontay. My computer sounds like a rocket ship, so I'm gonna also close out of Zoom because it's struggling.
No, the only reason that I'm still hanging around is there were a couple chats that.
That's fair. Yes, you are able to leave. This is over and done, and you can click on the leave button at the bottom of your screen, or you can click on that X in the top right corner to disappear from us.
Yeah. Awesome. Bye, everyone.